Hi, it's Natasha.
And Khalil.
And we are the co-hosts of
WokeNFree.
Thank you for tuning in to our 165th episode of WokeNFree. If you've been tuning in every week for WokeNFree Wednesday, you know that WokeNFree is all about being real and honest with each other and you. We talk about everything and anything important to us, you, the world, and nothing is off the table. This week, we are discussing whether meetings are really necessary, which is a very, I think, on-topic, trending subject to discuss. Don't you agree?
It's very important in this time of the society.
COVID-19, right? Yeah.
Yeah. How things are looking now. It's a good question to ask.
Yes. So before we dive deep, it's your favorite time of the day. It's my monologue. I live for this. You live to hear it. Let's go through it.
Oh, happy days.
Listen, I might even sing it opera edition. Careful. Don't tempt me with a good
That's
time.
for next year.
Ah!
Nope. Not yet.
If you've gone to WokeNFree.com and you've downloaded the episode through the Podbean app, you are amazing. Thank you. And the reason why you're amazing, A, is because that's the number one best way to show your support of the show, but it's also how you join the conversation. So if you're like listening to us right now and you're like, I have something deep and burning inside of me to share, the only way we're going to find out is if you have the app so that you can put your comments and then we can be like, we agree with you. We disagree with you. What do you mean by this? Right? We can go back and forth. It can be really, really awesome and engaging. So make sure you do that. Now, if you're listening to the show, but you're doing it on, say, another platform because you're like, Tosh, we love you. We need you. Right back at you. But don't want to add another app onto your phone. A little bit of tears come out, but it's okay. All that we ask is that you are subscribed and followed and liking the show on whatever platform you're catching this on. So we definitely get a lot of love every week from iTunes, from if you're catching this on TuneIn or Stitcher or Google Play or even if you're just coming through our YouTube channel, SoundCloud or iHeartRadio or Spotify, right? Any of those platforms. We're on 30 plus platforms. So please make sure wherever you're catching the show, you're subscribed, you're following, and you're liking, and wherever you can give comments, you give comments. Now, when it comes to sharing is caring, absent COVID-19. Bigotry, racism, sexism, any of those really nasty isms, guys.
Wow.
So, yeah. So what we can share, though, is share WokeNFree. And more now than ever because we have some exciting news, don't we not?
You can share clothes now?
Jeez Louise. Yes, we can. We can share that. We can share guac, since I know that was a concern of yours recently. And you can also share our new book that is out, which you'll be able to find the link to this in this episode here as well. So make sure you guys are not only just listening to this new episode, but you are checking out our new book together as authors. Isn't this exciting? Our first Kindle book together?
Yeah, I'm riveted.
Truly, yeah. I can see the salesman in you is really just
see
out of control.
See how I express myself in words?
As opposed to symbols.
No, but I mean, you can express yourself in kind of like your octaves that you take. So you can say just something very simplistic and make it seem like you're super excited. Or you can just use nice words like me and prove that you're excited.
Does not compute.
Because mine is proven, at least. It's like my joy is on a different scale.
Scale of nothingness, yes.
Wow, that's truly amazing that you said that.
Yeah, a couple of choice words come to mind, eh?
I guess so. I don't know.
Cool beans. Alrighty. So guys, get our new book. It's super affordable. It's super easy to read. If you have not read one thing for this year, make our new book, 86 Facts of Life, your one book that you read for the year, because you'll read it in like a really quick hot minute and you'll enjoy it and you'll laugh and you'll really understand why you love WokeNFree and why you love our first book and hopefully one of many. So stay tuned for more. Now, when it comes to other things, guys, if you want to hang and chat with us on social media, you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, TikTok. Yes, TikTok, and Pinterest at WokeNFree. And then, of course, if you have 90 seconds, review the show. You can review it on any of the platforms that you catch a show on. Just make sure you go there, like say iTunes. We have several 5-star reviews, which is such a blessing. Thank you. Give us reviews on our YouTube channel. Give us reviews on SoundCloud. Give us reviews on Spotify. any of the places you catch a show on. So if you go to WokeNFree.com, you go to the Listen tab. That's where you can pick your platform of choice where you want to support us. And with that, I think it's time to get into our own little episode, aka meeting.
Oh, is that what happens, or do we do something else first?
That's a part of the meeting.
Oh, okay. It's good when you have a meeting just to have an icebreaker. So this is sort of icebreaker of sorts that we have, where you know what we do. We get to know Tasha and Mr. himself. Yep. Himself, yeah.
You're losing your identity today?
We don't have to mention the names. You'll figure out that name.
You don't even want to be associated with me right now.
No, that's not about being associated with you. That's just, my name is just, it goes beyond boundaries, this kind of thing.
You've lost it for today? Hey, that's nice.
Hey, you can say that, but either way, I mean, it says our name on the podcast, so you can figure that out. It's only two people, right?
Booyah.
It's only two people, so you'll figure it out. You know,
maybe
whatever
you'll be
you
Natasha.
Say. I could be the angel too. You know, like on Instagram.
Exactly.
That's what my name is. I don't know. Well, there's more to it than that. It's not. I'm not the angel. I don't know who that is on Instagram. Actually,
I think people just have to wait for the book on that one.
Oh, to look up the angel. Like I don't know who that is. If I look
your angel story, and more particularly, I was referring to.
I don't know where this is going, but I know we need to dive into a little bit about us before we get into the topic for the episode. Last week, we asked, which Mexican dip do you prefer, salsa or guac? This week, we're asking, would you rather have lunch with an influential billionaire or with your favorite celebrity?
Such an incredibly challenging question. So my heart is really instantly saying, favorite celebrity, hello, Michael B. Jordan. I love you. I love you. I love you. I love you. I'll love you to the end of time. But my mind is also saying, hey, Oprah, what that lunch look like? Like, how are you doing, boo? So ultimately, between my heart and my mind as a Virgo, I practically will always go with my mind. And so ultimately, my answer is go with the influential billionaire. But my heart breaks because I secretly would actually just want to have lunch with both.
All right, so you'd want both, but you know to make the correct choice.
Go. Well, listen, because what might be really fun is what if your favorite celebrity turns into an influential billionaire?
It could. Yeah. Could. The billionaire could be less helpful than the celebrity in your life.
Exactly.
That's what's funny. It's a hard choice.
I would greatly benefit for lunch with Michael B. Jordan. No. I know that would truly enhance my life.
We can't both see the celebrity we like.
That is not your favorite celebrity. Don't even be trifling. Hello, Michael B. Jordan. I adore you.
So maybe that is it, but I have to definitely go with the influential billionaire. The problem is I can't even think of a favorite celebrity. So
exactly, you don't have one.
I'd be stuck. You'd have me there. I'd be like, I mean,
who invited you?
Maybe entertainment. Maybe like I guess like an artist, like a rapper or something. But that
so like if you wanted
Nas,
to, exactly. I was gonna say you could have lunch with Nas.
I could, but I'd rather have lunch with the billionaire though. But that's just me though. I mean, he probably would have good insight, but either way. Yeah, I don't
billionaire
know.
status is hard to top. Like that's pretty incredible.
And it's the billionaires that I'm into. Is like they're I like the fields that they're in, right? So I'm very interested in those topics. So it's not like it's just this random billionaire. He just has lots of money, or he or she. They're a billionaire and they do stuff that I'm interested in. Sure. So that's why I think it would be a nice lunch to have.
Sure.
And speaking of meetings with people that you like, you gotta really wonder: are meetings really necessary?
It's such an interesting question. I don't think I ever asked myself that as a child, but as an adult, I ask myself that actually every day since I'm in plenty of meetings for work, for projects, for anything, right, involving other people, any type of collaboration involving more than one person. You somehow end up on a Zoom call or some type of Google chat thing or, all sorts of different types of platforms that are available today in today's world. Thankfully, given COVID-19, it's actually quite remarkable, all the different platforms available to meet with people. But what I found, I came across this thing called Owl Labs, where they have like a checklist that you're supposed to ask yourself for preparing and planning for a meeting, which also gives you kind of that kind of back of the paper checklist of like, do you need a meeting? So some of the questions you're supposed to ask yourself, there's several, I think like 12 or 15.
Wow.
I'm not going to go through all of them, but some of them include the following. Is the matter urgent or time sensitive? That's an important question, right? Because if the matter is not going to be dealt with in the next 3 months, then do you really need to meet about it right now? It depends. If you're doing something more in the event planning space, then absolutely. But if this is, say, something for your job and it's like around a report or something, do you even really need to meet about it? Could you detail the conversation through email or through some type of chat messaging application? Depends, right? Another question they ask is, who is the designated responsible individual for the task I'm hoping to accomplish? So understanding all the needed parties to a conversation is important. Sometimes that can really mess you up if you need X people and you don't include X people in the meeting and or in the communications. You're going to be missing out or have outcomes that are not desired. Another question that you can ask is, what is my ideal outcome? That's important. Every time you're conversating or having some type of action or transaction in life, you need to think strategically. Like, what do I want out of this? Every meeting, every conversation, every interaction, what is the ideal or desired outcome? I thought that was a really critical question to ask. And then, is everyone I plan to invite necessary? Also, we have a lot of people that join meetings that are just kind of a bump in a log, right? Like, do they need to be there? If they're not adding to the conversation, then what are they there for? Things to think about. How long should this meeting be for? That's critical because sometimes people set meetings for an hour and it could have been 15 minutes, or they set a meeting for 15 minutes and it ends up being 2.5 hours. Knowing the timing of what is the agenda that's going to be discussed and making sure that you allot enough time to discuss things and you don't give yourself too much or too little time. Does this meeting have a clear agenda? Are we meeting for meet's sake, or are we actually meeting to discuss X, Y, Z? Things like that. And then personally, just to throw in my own kind of words of wisdom here, is for someone who, I guess we start having meetings as people, like in school, I think, right? Yeah, when you have projects, I would consider that.
Don't you have meetings before that at the dinner table?
Technically, I mean, it depends. Yeah, it depends on how you want to define a meeting. So
sometimes you discuss what happened for the day.
Congregation, right? Any type of congregation where you're actually discussing
events
something.
or something, or what needs to be done, actions and all that.
Because we have so many years under our belt, if you think about it from that perspective, that you would think once you're in your 30s that you've gotten better, that you've kind of mastered this, and I feel like that's not the case.
But no one set out a set of rules of what you should follow for a meeting. What's a good meeting? Hey. That's funny. I've never learned what is a good meeting. Like
business acumen or like some type of set.
There's never been a class in school or anything. Yeah, they never taught us, here's how you have a good meeting. These are the things you need to do. Here's what it needs. I've never heard anything of the sorts, and I've never been taught that in any of my training courses either.
But you know what?
I don't know how many training courses there are.
We were communications majors, so I don't know if communications major deal with that. But
they had meetings, like how to conduct.
We both had science degrees in college, so yeah. And then I went on to law school, and they definitely did not talk about that, which is ironic, right? Because you would think people getting into the professional service industry, like lawyers or doctors or accountants, would need some training on how do you conduct a meeting? How do you...
You're saying that, but I think anybody can learn how to do a meeting.
Oh, of course.
It doesn't matter who you could be an artist, you could be a scientist.
Well, yeah, as an artist, you definitely need to understand how to conduct a meeting for business. Like,
meeting is one thing that I think that transcends kind of careers and what you are. Like meeting, anybody can have a meeting. It's
you know what? We will, all these resources...
To be like sex ed.
Here you go.
To be just on the same level. Like, you should go to your sex ed class, then go to the meeting. Yeah, there should be a meeting, whole course on meetings, and then a meeting...
You're just thinking about that song, There's a Meeting in My Bed.
I've never heard that. That's interesting to hear. I don't know what you're saying. I'm not sure. I'm very confused at this moment.
You wish there was a meeting in your bed.
I mean, I don't even know what that means. Like,
yes,
I'm not sure what that means.
Yes, you do.
Oh, I see. Because then you can have people actually make the bed for you.
You're trifling.
That's the meeting taking place.
Yeah. Ooh la la. Ooh.
I guess so. I mean, it doesn't sound very exciting, but maybe to you, putting a pillow sheet on a pillow, that's very fun times there. Yeah, exciting.
Yeah.
Saucy.
Ooh.
Exactly.
What are your thoughts or answers here?
I found this article on Forbes, and they said, well, I mean, this is what I think, is that meetings are probably ruining your productivity, which I tend to agree with that. It says that most meetings are completely unnecessary, and like you were mentioning earlier, many could be replaced with an email. They actually had, I guess the author of it worked with several Fortune 500 companies, and they found that half of the work hours were consumed by meetings. than actually getting work done. So 50% towards meetings, 50% towards works. Most meetings are scheduled for an hour by default, and that's true. Even if the agenda, if there is one, could be handled in 20 minutes. If you're in a meeting for an hour, that means you aren't doing something productive. You're in the meeting, right? So there goes our productivity loss. The ultimate productivity killer is the constant start-stop during the day that keeps you from doing any deep work. Yeah. So just imagine if you had 4 1-hour meetings scheduled in a day every other hour and 4 hours of actual work to accomplish. That kind of kills any work you're doing previously, because it's like you start some work, you get really deep into it and you're thoughtful about it, but I have a meeting. So now you have to stop and go to the meeting. So that's really bad. Anyone who actually wants to get work done has to show up at the office early to get an uninterrupted jump on the day and stay later to finish any work before they leave. That leads to the 60-hour work weeks, which has been shown in itself to destroy productivity. Who wants to work 60 hours a week and be paid for the 40 instead? I mean, that's kind of messed up. But that's what ends up happening. The meeting takes up your productivity hours, and now you have to work overtime just to get things done.
I completely agree.
Now, do you believe people have more meetings than necessary?
Yes, I think this is the case because depending upon your comfortability with technology, some folks are going to be more likely to want to have a conversation via meeting than to text things or to put things in some type of chat application, because not everyone is at the same level of communication. And I myself, with some of the people that I will communicate with on a regular basis, I know that it's easier sometimes to just hop on a call or to jump on a video conference than to go back and forth in this kind of broken down conversation of what do you mean by this? And I could do what I want to do faster with a call or a conference call. But then what makes it ultimately longer.
You're saying a one-on-one conference call?
Yeah.
Or you're saying conference call with multiple people?
No, one-on-one. Yeah.
All right, so just a one-on-one call. All right.
But what I will find is that I can be more direct and get the answer I want just through a chat application, as opposed to when I jump on a call and I have a meeting, then the conversation lends to the social element quicker, right? Because you see the person and you're like, oh, well, what about this? And, and how's your day going? And what movie are you watching? And, and it goes there. So
and you get off topic and kill more productivity time.
I know. It's a bit challenging. It depends also on your personality, right? Like I am a social person naturally, or at least I was created to be. And then
that's saying a lot.
Well, I would say
I was created to be this thing that I'm not truly am.
I would say I grew up a loner, right? I don't have a lot of friends. I don't have a lot of people that I connect with, but my father did a really good job of making me like a social butterfly, even though it was all for the purpose of like others. But generally speaking, like on my own accord, as you know, if no one talked to me, I wouldn't be talking to, like if I didn't have to go out and talk to people, I wouldn't. Like I would just be kind of in my own little cocoon.
You don't have to do anything though.
Yeah. I don't have to. So I choose.
Everything's a choice no matter what.
To be the social butterfly that I was like molded to be is essentially what I'm saying. But I don't know if on my own accord, if my dad raised me a different way, I most likely would be a different
step into those shoes.
I enjoy the socialization because I find people to be extremely fascinating and riveting and also irritating. So it's all like, it's a spectrum, right? It depends on who you're talking to and the purpose of the communication. But what was interesting is Slack had an article that talked about the different types of meetings that are needed. And I thought that was super helpful to like break it down to not just meet for meet's sake, but like, what are we meeting? So the types of meetings everyone needs, they identify as onboarding meetings, which I agree. If you're starting a new organization or a new type of process in your company or organization, onboarding meetings are necessary. I don't think you can get out of those, but I would preface that you could have a recorded version and play it for people who can't all come together. So I wouldn't delay meetings just to be like, oh, we don't have all 12 people. Like if 6 of them are there, make the meeting and record it and the other people can just watch it and submit their questions.
So you need to have these meetings with multiple people on it just because you first started?
Yeah, so like, whenever you start an organization, they have onboarding. So they have an onboarding, like a meet and greet, welcome to the company. You've never been a part of any of those?
necessarily a meeting, but I've been walked around and introduced to people, but
I've been a part
never
of
where it's like, all right,
meeting,
I come into a room, there's multiple people there, and I'm going to speak. No, I've never had that.
Oh, okay. I've done it in a virtual sense, but yes, and also and in person too.
See, the virtual makes sense because it's kind of like what I would do physically is I would go around to other people's offices or cubicles and say, hey, you know, this is who I am, this is what I'm doing now. Like my boss would introduce me, but now in the virtual time, you could just have one meeting with everybody on the call and then just
I've done both. I've done in person and I've done the virtual.
All right.
So another type of meeting Slack suggests is, and just they distinguish the different types, but another one they have is brainstorming meetings. So like working sessions. I think that is critical if you want the insight of others. If you don't need the insight of others in whatever project or ideation you're working on, then you shouldn't have a meeting. But if you actually are on a team and you're playing a team sport, then you need to have a meeting to have those ideas because you don't know everything. But if you don't need the insight of others, I wouldn't have a meeting. I would create.
If it's your job, you shouldn't be like asking. Well, I don't.
It depends, right? Tough. Like if you're on a team and your team is working on a project, then
as long as I don't. But I guess there's got to be sort of an because what if it's kind of like you always throw a brainstorm session when you really need to figure this out yourself?
So there needs to be,
all right,
there needs
come
to be
on
a
now.
There
why are we always doing your work? Like you need to figure that
out. That's a good point. It is a good point. Like if you have to, ideate things, then you should do things. Yeah. They also mentioned like kickoff meetings.
Oh yeah, those are important.
Which are important for new projects and initiatives. That's critical. Also feedback and retrospective meetings. So you've done something and now you want to have like a debrief or a how did that go? What could we do better? I think those are probably not held enough, to be honest, because people always
definitely
are like, what happened 3 months ago? And that's not helpful, right? Do something and have a follow-up meeting either that week or the following week to really decompress everything that happened. Budget and financial meetings. Neither of us are in a financial type of arena in our lives, but I think I've been a part of those types of conversations. They are helpful because when you're talking through, it's easier sometimes to talk through numbers as opposed to like chatting about it. It gets a little bit convoluted there. So I think that's important. Then Slack goes on to distinguish types of meetings your team definitely doesn't need. So status update meetings. That's interesting. I've been a part of those types of meetings.
A lot of people have those types of meetings. Yeah. I have those. Yeah.
It depends on the project. It depends on your industry. It depends on how meaningful the status update is. So I would beg to disagree there. It's not a black and white situation. I think that's a little bit gray. It depends on how people give updates. I think most communicators are the stumbling ums and uhs, and it's challenging to understand what they're trying to get out of their mouth.
But imagine if it's like somebody's working on something. It's like, I'm getting this far and I've hit a roadblock. Somebody could jump in and be like, I already did that. You could stop working on that.
So that is important.
Sometimes it happens where a team member knows something that you don't know. But I mean, they're saying you could email it, but I don't know. I mean,
it depends. It depends on how convoluted of a conversation.
Depends, on how like specific it is.
Meetings without agendas. That's key. Everyone wants to understand, and I could even do a better job of that, of making sure that every time you set a calendar appointment in your personal, professional, entrepreneurial lives, that you put in even just bullet points in the calendar. What do you plan to talk about? Because it gives people direction and understanding of what to expect. Because I've noticed when I don't do that, I definitely get asked, what are we meeting about? So it's like, hey, why hide the goose egg? Just give people what they need.
You're now listening to WokeNFree.
WokeNFree. WokeNFree.
WokeNFree.
WokeNFree.
A podcast that gets real and honest.
They also say the right types of meetings save time. So meaning you want to set that clear agenda for the meeting. You want to have a clear understanding of what your desired outcome is for the meeting. What do you want out of it? What are the action items that are going to happen, which I think is critical. Find the right medium for your meeting. So what is the best time and the best place? So is it a virtual? Is it in person with COVID?
In COVID?
I know. In COVID now, it changes the game for people, right? So it's mostly going to be virtual. Or if you have to meet in person, then you have to adhere to social distancing and you have to really be careful and, make sure you're...
That's interesting. Like, I really wonder how many meetings need to be in person, though, to be honest, like, really.
It depends on your industry, right? Because if you're in a more physically involved industry, then maybe.
Why? If you're not, it's not like, all right, go and help produce this product right now. let me see you work. Like, we're all going to watch you work on a product.
Yeah, I would say how do I say this? So what
I
about
don't think
people
you need
in
it.
the,
Don't think
what
it's ever
about
needed.
people in like the sex industry per se, right? And so they're having a meeting around some type of like shoot that is sexually
So they can show that on a
explicit.
PowerPoint.
That's incredible.
And
I want
yet-
to see that slideshow.
I mean, I'm not going to mention the company, but I know they have slideshows.
God.
Because they're the biggest one in the planet.
Sweet Jesus, sweet
But
Jesus.
either way, they do that kind of stuff. They're like, and they're serious about it. They take it really professionally.
So maybe, I mean, that's the only
I don't
context
think
where I
you need
felt
a
if you
physical
were in
meeting,
a
though.
physically oriented type of
If you're doing a
role,
demonstration, it's
or-
not a meeting. I mean, I guess if you're doing a physical...
Or what if you're a chef and you have to prepare the food and you're going through kind of a
You're having
culinary...
a meeting while you're cooking something, really?
Don't chefs meet in their kitchen? With their
But then it's a
staff?
demonstration kind of thing. It's not like I mean...
But they're also maybe they're
Thinking of it
garnishing
different.
feedback from their sous chef and their staff and stuff.
I guess if
There's
you can
always
contemplate that,
yeah.
maybe if you say that, I guess if you're saying, all right, look, I'm doing this, what could I do better?
Yeah.
And people give feedback on a physical action.
I think it has to be
I guess you could have a
very
meeting around that.
physically oriented role. Like,
that seems like a demonstration, though. I don't
but
even
it's
call that a
both,
meeting
right? Like
anymore.
For
when
people
someone's doing
in
something
the fast food
physically,
industry, like if you're in, if you're making a burger, you can't necessarily. I don't know if it makes sense to do that virtually.
but that's training, though. That's different than a meeting.
That can be a meeting. It's a training meeting, right?
So when I think of meeting, I don't know if we haven't even talked about it, but I think of meeting as more than two people.
it can be more than one. It's one more other.
So if
person.
you have two people, that can be
That's
a meeting.
100%.
Wow, I mean, you blowed my
100%.
mind there to
I
say
have meetings
a
all
meeting
the
with
time.
two people.
Yeah.
Though?
Because you're speaking to your
Isn't that just
more
a
than
call?
not
Or
necessarily
just an interaction?
But
that's
it's
fine.
semantics, right? Like
Maybe,
yeah.
but no, I think a
It's the
meeting.
same thing as public speaking is anytime you're speaking to more than one person, which I know most people would
That's
not
just
consider
speaking,
public
though.
speaking, but that's
Because I think of meeting as I blocked out this time. I'm going to speak to. There's going to be 3 people on this.
you're just
meeting.
making arbitrary numbers. It can be one other person or 3 other people or 30.
I didn't know that.
people.
I really thought meetings had to be 3 people. I didn't know that.
I mean, I would argue that it's more than one person.
Okay, I mean,
Yeah. But guys, WokeNFree Nation, if you feel otherwise, please put that in the comments. But for me, I just don't see the arbitrariness of saying that 1 or 3. Like, we're literally then talking about a differential of one other person then.
Yeah, but it just seems like then there's more people that are losing productivity. That's what I think of it
Welcome
about.
to the world of life.
Compared to just it's 2 people, now we have 3 people. I mean, now this is a meeting. This is what we officially call a meeting. But that I could be wrong. I mean,
I have
You
meetings
can call anything
with
a
just
meeting.
one other person all the time.
That's I mean, because I know you can schedule a meeting. It could just be 2 people, but
Yep.
the thing
And
is,
that is a meeting. As long as you were speaking with someone who is not imaginary and is actually...
that's funny because it's definitely some blurred lines though between what's a meeting, what's a demonstration, what's just a question,
Well, it
what's
shows
just
you
a chat.
just how...
it's these
just
blurred lines.
how gray the working world is, regardless of your industry. But what were your thoughts there? Did you want to add to anything?
The only thing, it's just what I believe hand in hand is that most meetings kill productivity. That's pretty much what I'm
So
saying.
you're all for signing up for 0 meetings.
Well, I would reduce it to 0 unless you need to explain directly, hey, this, needs to happen. Or if you're collaborating, the brainstorming, those things I understand. Yeah, we have meetings, but, and then the status updates I get too, because it can, sometimes people
Helpful.
have
In certain
things to chime in. Yeah, but they were mentioning you could do status updates over email, and then, because I've done that too, where there's status updates over emails and people just put in their
100%.
comments
I've
in
done
that
that as well,
email.
yeah.
And it's like, oh, all right, I see that,
And
so
that's
I'll do
the
that.
update, yeah.
So, and technically that's a lot shorter than when you have a verbal
God,
call
yeah,
or something.
Absolutely. Now, when it comes to effective alternatives to having a meeting, what would you say those include?
Now, these are good because this answers your question about that industry we talked about earlier, what they could do instead of having meetings. And this source wasn't talking about the specific company that you mentioned earlier.
I didn't mention what company.
No, you didn't mention a company, but you mentioned an industry.
Oh, okay.
All right, sorry, not company, but you mentioned a specific industry.
Throwing me under the bus.
No, I don't. No, I just want to make sure people know this is not like in reference to the industry you mentioned earlier.
Gotcha.
So One Legal provides alternatives. They say you could create a video presentation You can create
that's
fact
helpful.
sheets and videos,
FAQ.
instant messaging, start an email. Of course, I mean, that's, everybody knows that. The brainstorming board is interesting.
That's
I mean,
cool.
I guess, well, there are tools that allow you to brainstorm. There's
Absolutely.
platforms that
Yeah.
do that, so you can use
Trello,
that.
I think, is one platform, yeah.
And Microsoft has something where you can
Nice.
do that too. You can collaborate on like a Blackboard kind of thing.
Yeah,
It calls it.
nice.
They say status reports is another way to do it. Casual. See, here we go. What's the difference between a casual conversation and a meeting?
The nature of the conversation.
Really?
Yes.
If you say
A
so.
casual conversation.
Because what if you schedule the casual conversation? Is that a meeting
Yes,
then?
it's a casual conversation meeting.
Say that's semantics. Then they have project management applications
That's
that
cool.
help, and that's definitely helpful. You can see kind of what the tasks are, what the status updates are. I don't know how this is alternative, but they mentioned short focus
That's
meetings.
not an alternative. Someone lost their mind there.
And again, virtual meetings. I mean,
They
I
lost
think
their
that's
mind.
still a meeting.
That's
so
still a
I'm not
meeting.
sure if that's effective, but this is from One Legal.
Okay. So the resource that I'd love to mention here is lifehack.org. We've shouted them out before. They mentioned the following 5 alternatives to meetings. So instant messaging, like you said, they have teleconferencing, which similar to what you're saying, if you're having a virtual meeting is a meeting, like let's call a spade. So that's weird.
That's
And
pretty
also
funny.
a phrase that they'll find in
Oh,
our
this is
new
weird.
book. They refer to Wikis, which provides a collaborative environment that is ideal for the development of working documents and statements. And so they say, as well as material that will need to be referred to again and again for one-off projects, an online wiki like WetPaint or PB Wiki are ideal, free, easy to set up. So you guys can find the link to this article and then learn more about these wikis on WokeNFree.com. So that's really cool.
And guess what? You can do that in Microsoft Teams too.
Oh, fun. Okay.
They have the same thing. They have that
Okay.
ability. Yeah.
Cool. Now, they also mention email lists and groups. So again, send that email and, stop playing around. They also mentioned something called collaboration apps, which I think you kind of refer to, which is a project management application. So systems like Rike and then Basecamp allow notes to be exchanged, tasks to be assigned. I'm familiar with both of those as well. And then, of course, there's some Google apps as well. So, the point is just to open up your mind, guys. Like sometimes you might have been doing things for the last 30 years one way, but it's a new day. It's a new time. We have to do things definitely in a different way with COVID-19, but then also to think about kind of what you're saying, this destruction of productivity is not helpful, especially now that people don't have clear separation between work and home since they're working from home. A lot of people are working from home. We need people to be mentally well and not feel burdened or having this kind of fatigue symptoms from too many conferences, too many meetings, too many things that are going on that could just be exchanged in email.
Which the key thing is reduces time towards getting work done.
Correct.
That's
yes. We want to get more work done, not talk about the work that needs to get done.
Yeah, that's the goal, right? To get the most work done that you can, not just take time up.
Yeah, exactly.
Here we go, yo. So what's the scenario? It's scenario time, guys. Scenario 1. Hionic is Dorothea's supervisor and wants to go over a new project with her that could boost the company's revenue by tenfold. Since this is such an important project, should Hionic schedule a meeting for this?
What a wonderful question, which has great application to what we're talking about. So I vote yes in this scenario, but with the caveat of there needs to be a clear agenda set for the meeting. It needs to detail how long the meeting's going to be. What are the talking points? What exactly are the action items that Hionic?
Stop. Hey. Oh, you're laughing at the scenario itself. Yeah, the scenario is interesting. It's very an interesting scenario.
Yes. What Mr. H has.
Mr. H.
So, okay, to go over this with Dorothea, because A, there's money to be had. B, they need to work out. They need to brainstorm a little bit as to kind of what does that look like? What are the projections? What are the risks? All of that. There's project management that needs to be discussed. There's a timeline that needs to be discussed, and it would probably be, and there's also like ideation that needs to be discussed. So I say yes for the meeting. Just make sure you have a clear agenda and you don't just set up reoccurring meetings just to have reoccurring meetings, but every meeting has purpose and there's like actual actions that are going to happen in between each and every meeting they may have thereafter from this first one.
So my vote is opposite of yours. I vote no. Because what if Yannick speaks German and Dorothea is Japanese? Then this meeting could be useless, right? So,
but this is this person's supervisor, so they already have a working relationship.
I know they do, but what if they have to translate before communicating? Wouldn't it be better then to just have an email back and forth?
Well, unless that's stated in the circumstances, then I wouldn't assume that, nor would I vote that.
But I mean, there's technically live translators too they can use.
Correct.
But I mean, I think I don't know. This is a new project.
Think about it. If you had a company, someone says that your money can be made tenfold. You don't think you want the people to talk about it?
No, you can talk about it, but it's the semantics again. I don't think there needs to be a scheduled meeting. I think they can just So what I think would happen is an email needs to be created that's sent, and then that has kind of like points that they can look to, and then kind of communicate back and forth over, and then they can call and like talk it up and come to conclusions on how they want to go with it. But I think it's just a waste to be like, all right, we're going to go over this generally and I'm going to show you these slides or whatever for the first time. Like, I think it'd be better just to have the email and then the Dorothea can think about it and then they can just talk about that after Dorothea reads the email. That's what I think. But,
interesting. Okay.
I mean, there's different ways to go about it. Like, yeah.
I would just say that.
There's only 2 people though. I don't think there's a meeting necessary.
Okay.
That's what I feel. Scenario 2. Roshan is having trouble getting Annette, Rowan, and Steffi on a meeting to discuss future developments for their corporation because each person is spread throughout the globe. Could they effectively discuss these matters in another way?
Oh, what another wonderful question. Yeah. So when you have a global team or when you work with people from different geographical locations, it's important to be able to flex for everyone as much as possible so that everyone's voice is heard and that people can feel represented in the conversation.
You said flex?
Yeah.
You trying to flex on them?
No, like to be able to like adjust, to be able to...
Oh, because you got to be careful with the youngsters. When they hear flex, it means something different. Like I'm flexing
like
on them.
or something?
Well, it's like you're showing off. You're showboating.
Oh, no, I meant
flex means something different.
Like,
oh, you mean flexible. Yeah, you can't say flexing on them like I'm flexing on them is not.
No, I didn't say flex on them. I said you want to flex like for the situation. But
even that, like flexing for is like you trying to show off. You trying to I don't know, get light. You trying to do that?
Excuse me?
Get light? That's the thing they do?
Are you talking about Jesus?
Hey, I'm trying to These are the things they say. Come on.
They're talking. People want Jesus?
No, this is not religious in nature. This does not have religion in it.
Jesus.
This is things that people do. They get light, or they used to.
In my 30s, and I'm gonna live my best life.
So you're gonna flex on them?
I'm gonna flex on them.
That's a cool flex right there. Yep.
That's what I'm gonna do, guys.
Wow.
For this scenario, I think if it's challenging to meet with people in different time zones and areas around the world, that they should start a working document where they lay out each person's particular segment of what they need to discuss, and they try to work through that working document where they can tag each other and ask each other questions and assign different roles and things to each other. And then if there gets to be a point where they do actually have to convene, they might have to meet 3 times. They might have to meet once or twice in a day, in a week, but ultimately trying to keep things to the digital platform in a working document where there's visibility amongst all the parties. And then that way no one is flexing too much or too little because of people's scheduling conflicts.
All right.
How would you address this?
I mean, this one's... So the one way I was thinking, but this is probably, it's not doable, but I would say they need to like have a bot that comes in for them on the meeting. So they don't have to actually be there, but the bot would respond on their behalf. AI assistant. I know. It doesn't work, but that's my ideal situation. My ideal situation is a bot will respond for you. So they say, hey, Steffi, what do you think on this? Yeah. And then Steffi will say, yes. Just keep saying it. Yes.
Helpful.
Yes.
So you want someone to have a Stepford wife
Yes.
technology. That's nice.
Steffi just keeps saying yes, and it's like, Steffi, are you okay? Your video froze. Yes.
You're having too much fun.
No, you can do that.
With your own scenario in your own mind.
No, that's one way it could go. Like, you could do the bot.
You
but
know,
then,
you're speaking to every husband's desire.
No, it
every
isn't.
time a wife is asking their husband something, he just says yes.
well,
yes.
Rowan could say no then every time. I don't think so, guys. He could keep saying that, guys. I don't
So
think
there's
so.
a pig won't and a pig will.
Yeah, Rowan just keeps saying, I don't
Pig
think
won't.
so. And
Okay.
and there's a video of him shaking his head no every time. They say, Rowan, the call's almost over. No. You can do
Nice,
that. But
nice.
so that was my first thing. And then the second thing is this is bad, but I mean, I hate it, is you'd have to maybe schedule separate meetings. I hate that though.
Correct.
Because that's just, to me, it's a waste of time.
So you
but
like
it's
my
one
idea
way.
then, the working doc, and they all just tag
Yeah.
each other and just work on it. Yeah.
Yeah,
And there's
if
no
you can.
there's no Stepford bots involved, so it's their
My
authentic
first,
self.
but my first is the ideal scenario
Nice.
in all cases.
All right.
If that could happen, I'd go for the first one.
All
And
right.
it's
So
it's
next
possible.
time I call you and you just say yes repeatedly, I'm going to know what's really happening.
No, you don't know that for sure. I might actually
Hey,
be
Khalil,
saying
how are
yes.
you? Yes. Would you like to have dinner? Yes.
Yeah, see?
Can I have a car? Yes.
Yeah, see?
I'm just going to ask you for all the stuff I want then.
You can't do that.
And
You're,
and I'm
you're
gonna
cheating
say-
the system.
Khalil, you said yes.
You can't
Of
break the
course.
system. That's not being fair.
Yeah.
No, don't break the system.
Your bot will be pig won't. So
Hey, be careful, because I'll have the assistant talk to you, and that assistant will give you good answers.
that assistant talks smack all day long.
Okay. I mean, we'll see what it talks next time you speak to it.
Mm-hmm.
Scenario 3. Chester and Agnes work in the sales department and want to make an announcement about Q4 profits being up from the previous year to the entire company. Is this best portrayed in an all-hands meeting or a newsletter?
Wonderful question again. So I don't know too many details here about this, the company, the fictional company that they work at. So I don't understand
That matters, okay.
the company culture, right? So are they a company that,
maybe.
like, you know, I've worked at companies where they like to do stand-up meetings on sales reports every single week. And then I've also worked at companies where they have had that type of information relayed in a more segmented meeting schedule or even in newsletters alone. So ultimately, my vote here, not knowing enough, like I said, about this fictional company culture, I would say put it in a newsletter because A, it can be read. There's no misunderstanding of the numbers that is stated. And if people want to know more, then they can ask you more. But typically that is information that probably doesn't need to be discussed in a all hands meeting because it's just going to involve a lot of people. And again, if we go back to earlier in the conversation, what's the takeaway? What's the action items for people, right? So if HR happens to be in this all hands meeting, how are they benefiting from understanding the sales rep? I mean, yay, their job is still there.
Yeah,
but
so they know the company's doing well.
Other than that,
Gives them pride.
I mean, I think the only time people all want to get together is when you're saying to them when they're getting money. Like,
Oh, bonuses announced.
Yeah, then people want that type of meeting. Or, hey, let's eat free food together. Yes.
I see. The pizza party.
Correct.
You could do
But
different
when you're
things.
just like, I just want to rattle off a bunch of numbers to you, like, I don't know if it's that compelling of enough to get multiple departments involved, multiple people to expose themselves to COVID-19. Like, I don't know.
Oh, yeah. Well, in this day and age,
Yeah, it
gets
just
a little
seems
harder.
scary.
I think, well, what I would do is I would do the newsletter,
Mm-hmm.
but I would make sure every employee reads it. Because believe it or not,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, well, yeah, even now, there's...
Is it just going to blink in their inbox until
No,
they open it?
you're funny. You don't even think about it. There's employees that don't have email addresses. Isn't that funny?
Well, that's bizarre. Oh, just
No,
overall not
just
need
think
it?
about every
Maybe?
company in the world. I mean, just think about small businesses. Their employees don't have email addresses. Not
Well, that's
necessarily.
true.
You're just saying that.
Yeah,
That's
that's
not
true.
necessarily. They may not have it. So I would want it to have it where no matter what, every employee does read this newsletter and there's a
But how are you
confirmation about it.
guaranteeing that they're reading it? That's what I'm trying to ask.
Well,
What's the technology
either you have to
you're
give them
using?
an email or you have to literally hand them a newsletter. You have to print it out for them.
But how are you going to ensure that they've read it, even if you
I mean,
printed it?
if I print it and hand it to you and you don't, well, you know what you could do. You can have a question on it, but I wouldn't, I mean, man, well, yeah, you could have a question
Yeah,
on it.
I think that the enforcement piece is where that's falling apart.
Well,
there,
you
but
could
I
still
do
enforce it with a
appreciate
question.
having and is the question tied to them being able to get their paycheck that week?
No,
Like-
well, it can't be that, but it has to be something like, if you get this right, you get a $20 Amex card.
So I still don't think you're going to have 100% participation, but I
You think
appreciate
people
the
would
effort.
miss out on it if they knew that, if they got
If
this
people
question
could
right?
see your eyes right now, it would be really remarkable.
Yeah, because
the level of excitement that you're generating from this fictional $20 Amex card offer is amazing.
Yeah, because I want you to say that to some employees.
What will you do for $20?
I'm not reading a newsletter, I'll tell you that. I mean, see, that doesn't make sense. Who says that? No one does.
Anyone who doesn't need $20.
They're not but who don't need $20? Anybody can take
it. Do we need to play back our privilege episode? There's plenty of people who don't think that I don't need to waste my time to read and for $20.
But no, this is for your company. It's not like, I'm not telling you to do something crazy or read something that has no reference to your life. This is your job. I mean, like, see, that's why that's crazy. It'd be
read
different.
The spiritual belief system, guys.
Yes, it's different if I'm trying to teach you how to travel to Mars, then maybe you don't care about that. You're like, I don't care about Mars.
Care about that, but...
No, but there's people that don't care about time travel. I'm not going to give you a newsletter on that.
That's a shame. I want that newsletter.
No, you do. I don't have to pay people to read that. No one's going to do that. No, but
I love that you're really stuck on this making people read
I want people to read it, though, without a doubt. And I want to give them time. Actually, we'll pay you to, like, yeah, because once you read this, you get paid for that time. You get compensated for it. Whatever that time took to read it.
That's why you're not in marketing and sales.
What are you saying? No, but I make it where you really want to read it. Like, it's funny, it's good, it makes us seem joyful. There's pictures of you in it. There's pictures of you yourself. You know what I would do? Because I would embed like people's photos in it. So it's kind of like if I read it and it's me reading it, I'd see a picture of myself. But if you're reading it, you see a picture of yourself.
So you're sending them a Harry Potter newsletter.
Yeah. Because people like to see that.
People move
and then
stuff.
But it would say good stuff about you too, though. It'd say like Natasha's one of our best employees. It would say that literally. And then I'd read it and be like, oh, Khalil's one of our best employees. I'd be like, wow, I like that.
You're on a different level right now.
No, but that's how you get people to read the newsletter because they read it and they're like, oh, I'm really valued in this company. Mm-hmm. It's like everybody's valued.
So this is a magical newsletter that makes everyone feel good and you get $20 from this.
I mean, it's not magic. It just makes you feel good when you read it because everybody likes to be valued. That's the truth. People like to be valued.
100%.
So if you did that in your news, that'd be so cool. I would love to read a newsletter, even if it's fake. If it says that, you're our most valued employee at this company.
You look and sound insane.
That's just a good
one. I'm not even addressing
No, but that's pretty good, though. You're the most valued company.
I think the best part of this conversation is you and your level of excitement for
your employee of the month.
And it's the end of the year, right?
No, everybody's employee of the month, though. That's
fraudulent. You're trifling.
You're saying for your district.
You're trifling for your district, in your mind.
Home. No, in your home. Yeah, in your home, you're the employee of the month. In your
home, you're the best employee.
And that works for virtual because it's true, because nobody else in your home is the employee of the month.
Except if your spouse doesn't work there.
Then it's crazy. It's like you have to compete for it then.
But guess what? Your magical newsletter is going to say they're both the best.
I know, then there's the count.
You know why? Because you just say in your office. In your toilet.
No, but what if you share all that? You can share all that too, so it's messed up.
In your mind, you're the best.
See, if you get too cerebral, then people are going to be mad. They're going to say, wait, why do I have to think about this so much? This should be very simple. I should be able to look on a website and see my face.
You're incredible. So what we're going to do here is
what are we going to do?
We're going to say that this is the coming to the end of something amazing, something weird, and something hilarious. Now, it is the coming to the end of our 165th episode of WokeNFree. What were we talking about? We were talking about quite a bit, but particularly our meetings really necessary. Now, will we leave you hanging for what our next episode will be about? Drum roll, please.
On our next episode, we will be discussing our new book, WokeNFree, 86 Facts of Life. Make sure you follow us on social media to follow along in the conversation. And make sure you tune in next week for WokeNFree Wednesday to join the conversation at WokeNFree.com.
Guys, if you'd like to be a guest on the show or you have a specific topic you want to talk about with us, make sure you hit us up on our Contact Us page at WokeNFree.com. So that's WokenFree.com. Now, when it comes to social media, you can always find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, Pinterest, TikTok. And then, of course, when it comes to any type of sponsorship or collaboration, you can easily find us at our Contact Us page at WokenFree.com. And make sure you get a copy of our book. We're so excited. It's super affordable. It's going to really rock your world in a very short time. So any thoughts there before they have to tune in more to our next episode to learn all about the book more?
Get the book. You'll truly enjoy it. This is truth being spoken.
Get it, or you'll have to have a meeting with us. Now
Really
they'll
great.
really get it.
And you'll be replaced by the Stepford wife if you don't.
Exactly. That's creepy and scary.
Oh, okay. Whoops. All right. Sorry.
And slightly threatening.
All right. It might not be it could be the us. I don't control them. The us people from the movie.
Smart.
I don't control them. If they want to come up, they come up.
The tethered ones?
Yeah, there you go. There you go. So you got it. I don't
Here
know who
you
they
go.
are. I don't know who these like subterranean folks are.
No.
I don't know. I don't know. That's all I can
That's
say.
a great movie. Watch it, guys. That's the final shout out there.
Yeah. If you didn't already subscribe, please do. Share the episode and make sure you come back to join the conversation every Wednesday for Woke and Free Wednesdays. Remember, Woke and Free is more than a podcast. It is a way of life. Until next time.
Have less meetings, y'all.